Hello and welcome to Casual Friday, recorded this time. It is Friday, the 18th of March. We're pretending we have social lives in the evening, which is incredibly unbelievable. But nonetheless, to keep up appearances, we've decided to record this episode and have it up for your enjoyment slightly earlier than usual. As always, Casual Friday and Technical Roundup all brought to you by FTX, specifically the FTX app, best mobile trading app on the market. Get it, buy stuff, watch it go down 90%, think it has only 10% more to go, and then learn the hard way that maths doesn't quite operate in that function. A very valuable lesson. But thank you for them for their support, and I'm sure there is some stuff that's not going to go to zero. There you go. How's that for a vote of confidence in the market?
I like it.
Great. So yeah, as usual with Casual Friday stuff, we'll do headlines-ish stuff first, and then charts, especially given how the market's been, and then kind of see where we land. Before we do, any grievances or things biting at you, or realizations you've come to, or just any sort of, unconventional information stuff come up on your radar?
No, I'm
You were
quite
posting
happy.
fake guru wisdom on Twitter earlier, so I was just wondering if
Oh,
maybe you've had some sort of religious experience or something.
no. I mean, there's a lot of discussion on Twitter going on with okay, you should have crypto friends or more crypto friends than normal friends, I guess,
Oh, that's
because
spicy.
they're somehow better. I don't really see how that makes any sense, and had a discussion with Dog about it. He didn't agree to what I said. I didn't agree to what he said, but
So you've blocked each other, and now there's a war.
exactly.
Good, good.
It's dogs versus ducks. It's over.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting topic. I think you need both, but I think actively, my take on it is crypto is so just, there's no coast mode for crypto. It's always at 100. It's always turned up to 100, and it's like full time, and you're always trying to keep up to date. And the circles are change, and they're weird, and you kind of know these people, but you don't, and all these weird dynamics. I think, especially when the market gets really frothy, really bullish, whatever, it's literally all crypto with only crypto people all the time, no weekends off, nothing, right? And it creates
Yeah.
a real opportunity cost to when you're not doing that, because as we discussed on another show, every trend line breakout is printing like 10, 15, 20, 50%. So if you're not there chasing that, you better have a damn good reason. And I think people end up inferring from that, then, well, I might as well kind of centralize my social efforts or my personal life and have hang out with crypto friends. And then, some people are in relationships with fellow crypto traders and so on. I don't know. That for me is satanic to some extent,
It is.
especially if I seek out friends, in the real world, not in the metaverse. The one thing I don't want to do is just discuss crypto or derivatives or NFTs or any of that. And I just think it's really nice to get a completely different, non-finance adjacent, just completely different perspective from people. Be it into, they're into art, history, fashion, geography, politics, philosophy, whatever it may be. Having that counterbalancing force, given crypto is so intense, I think pays dividends. But I can totally understand, although I disagree with the people who just take supreme comfort in saying that, oh, this person's in the same field as me and they get it, and therefore seek out people who get it as well. That's not uncommon, and it's not only in crypto, right?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty normal, but I honestly I could not do that.
Yeah, I mean, you were like, well, everyone is a bad actor, and therefore I will not associate with anyone except this one show
That-
I do on Friday and sometimes the
I
Monday one. So I
I
can,
mean
your circumstances are a bit difficult. You kind of deprived yourself of the choice anyway.
that's true. No, I honestly, it's just for me when you're surrounded by price all the time
Right.
anyway in your daily life, you don't need to have people around you, in my opinion anyway, or too many people around you that do the same thing, because then that's one of the key topics always, and
Hmm.
you never get away from it. So totally agree. It's kind of nice to get a change of pace. I think it's important to have friends in all kind of different circumstances, because otherwise you just lose vision of
Yes.
how life goes for the normal person. And the crypto kind of life that we lead is very, very different from normal life.
Thank God.
So
In some aspects, anyway.
yeah.
Would you go out with someone like a serious relationship if they were like either crypto trader or very much like crypto adjacent, like some sort of fucking metaverse, Web3, NFT type of, basically shitting where you eat to some extent.
Nope.
No, is it just
Nope. It's hard. No, no, I could not. I mean, maybe if I meet someone that's like amazing, but like,
right?
nah, like that would have to be an amazing person really to make me even consider that, because
Is it just
yeah,
too much of the
uh,
same thing?
yeah, we already see like all of this crypto stuff like too much. I don't want to have it in my personal life as well. And then you talk about work, it's crypto.
Oh,
It's like, oh, nah, it's just
and work never really switches off if you're in crypto anyway.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a good segue. So back to the very serious world. I'm just bringing up a list of tweets, or just a list of tweets by Walter Bloomberg. I would normally use our boy DB, but he's off for today, I think. And basically, one of the Fed governors is really favoring and suggesting more aggressive rate hikes. So instead of the consecutive 25 basis point hikes, he's suggesting today that that the data suggests we move in the direction of a 50 at coming meetings, and he says I really favor front loading our hikes. That would imply 50 basis points or more at coming meetings, so on and so forth. So his tone is very hawkish, right? Him and Bullard are the two real kind of hawks on the board. But so the reason I'm bringing it up is because obviously the whole quantitative tapering, if you will, or tightening, raising interest rates, whatever type of language you want to use, that was definitely one of the catalysts for markets nuking, right, or risking off, which was the basic idea that inflation doesn't seem transitory, it seems rather sticky, and central banks are going to be forced to take action via raising interest rates, which normally isn't immediately great for risk assets, at least, right? And then the market actually bounced both, and we'll talk about technicals shortly, both Bitcoin and the S&P, surprise, surprise, right? On the news that the market was going to raise interest rates. And that's going to sound weird to some people because, like, well, didn't the market dump because they said they were going to raise rates, or the likelihood of a rate increase was likely, and now that they said they're doing it, markets rallied. Why is that the case? Well, my interpretation, at the very least, is that some market participants were afraid of and or positioned for more serious or more aggressive rate hikes earlier on. So even like Waller's talking about 50 basis points here. Bullard was talking about 100 basis points, right, in March.
Jesus.
And so the market was basically, took a bit of a cautious position as to, okay, everyone knows we're going to get rate hikes, but there is a chance that they happen on a more aggressive schedule than thought previously, right? And so when it came out at the most recent meeting that it was going to be, at least so far, the first one, 25, a 25 basis point increase, the market kind of liked that because it wasn't more hawkish than it had priced, right? And now you've got, the second governor here, Waller, and Bullard, as always, he just wants interest rates like 10 million. I think he doesn't like low rates. There's some hawkish stuff floating around, but I just want to kind of get that across the line. Is that yes, the market did start to tank. One of the catalysts from the highs was the non-transitory nature of inflation. And it may seem bizarre that it rallied on the news that, by the way, it's still here and we're raising rates, but that's more of a kind of positioning thing. And it's not really about whether rates are going to go up or not. That seems very settled. Now, the only thing where you're going to find positions under pressure or some people being offsides on that whole playing field, it's not about it's not an if, it's more of a how quickly. I think I may have not butchered that. That was about as adequate as you're going to get from me on macro. Because, again, I trade candlestick, make boing lines and whatever on Bitcoin and ETH. So don't expect much me to waltz through this macro stuff.
Made sense to me. I mean, I think in general, it's basically something that we get in crypto a lot as well, where it's like sell the news just in reverse, right?
Yes.
So you kind of have like you had the rumors, and it was basically confirmed. And when the rumors came up, basically the entire market tanked. And then when the news actually came in, the market bounced a little. Just because what always happens with these kind of events is that a bunch of idiots try to short into the event, or like long into the event, because they think, okay, this is going to be a blow off, or okay, we're going to nuke. And most of the time, people are just already positioned for it way in advance, right? So the people that just enter like a day before, just get blown out. Something that we get a lot in crypto, same pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. It really hasn't changed the landscape quite yet, just the bigger picture. You know, the two scenarios I'm kind of entertaining in my mind is either that this Waller chatter, and again, you know, he's just one member, there's a vote, it comes to fruition, and they, you know, the rate of interest rate increase, or just the rate of increase, happens more aggressively than the market thinks, or that is expected, and that will probably be bearish, right? Just like inflation is really rough and the tightening schedule is accelerated. I think that would suck. The other one is, you know, if the market's pricing in 625 basis point hikes, I don't think. I mean, I think as far as I know, historically, it's very rarely you get like the full cycle of every single one of those hikes taking place. The dovish example, the first one being the hawkish one, is that maybe there is some remnants of team transitory, as they're called, on finance Twitter or whatever, and that, you know, just a couple of rate hikes see the data change positively, and maybe, you know, you end up in a place where rates aren't as high as being forecast, or don't need to be raised at every single meeting. That kind of dovish interpretation, I think, will be quite good for markets who are basically expecting just like a year of hikes, right? And, you know, I'd be a fan of that. It would. I do think there is, just my unqualified speculation, there are real kind of supply chain constraints that are contributing to inflation. It's not just like, oh, well, the government printed a lot of money, therefore inflation's going up. I don't think it's quite that way. And if we get through some of those supply chain bottlenecks, I think they'll have a noticeable impact. But now there's a war going on, right? So good luck factoring that into your models. And this is actually one of the things that Waller mentioned in his chatter, is that the data's screaming at us to go up 50 basis points, but geopolitical events call for caution, he said to CNBC. So maybe it's one of those weird ones, right? I tried tweeting about this like a couple weeks ago, it just didn't work. So I kept tripping over my own wording. But, you know, if you get escalation, is that, could you make a really weird argument that that's quote unquote bullish for risk, simply because of the delays further rate hikes, and you get more accommodative policy? You just get into this really uncomfortable situation. I don't know how to weigh these things. I don't have an edge here. It's just something I'm monitoring. The furthest I'm comfortable saying is that I think the only thing that matters is not whether rates are going up, but it's the rate of change. And if the market's caught with its pants down, and either the Fed is forced to hike more aggressively than is being priced, or less aggressively, I think that's really where you're going to get your moves. And anything else, if it just goes down the bog standard, 25 basis points at every meeting, I'm not really expecting that to change a whole lot, or reverse trend. Sorry, that's really rambly, but you just kind of have to fucking address this stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is way above my head anyway.
Same.
I'm kind of glad that like the market has not been trading like that in the last few years, because if if I had to learn all of this stuff back in the day, yeah,
that's when we get into pre-sales and IDOs and start tweeting them out, right? That
yeah, then you don't have to think about it.
Exactly.
Just make a bunch of money risk-free.
Yes.
But yeah, I do tend to agree with you. But then again, like my opinion on that topic is relatively meaningless, I think.
And there's a war going on.
And there's a war going on. And I think in general, until we kind of shake off the traditional market's impact that we've had seen, like whenever something happens in the traditional markets, it just goes straight into crypto. Until we shake that off, it's just, I'm not going to be too excited about crypto.
Okay, so I'll see you in 10 years.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't think 10 years is going to be it. But I could see this like take a couple of years to unentangle again. And if that's what it takes for the market to just kind of go back to being like separate entities, I'd be totally down for it.
I think we're too big for that now, Like I can see the case for that taking place over the course of like a market cycle, or like a secular trend or something. I think in general, as long as we're somewhat adjacent to that whole institutional risk capital basket, proxy trade, whatever, I don't really know what a decoupling looks like. It would have to be some massive kind of paradigm shift, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what you're hoping for at this point, right? Because, like you said, we're kind of big now. Like the crypto markets are kind of big.
No, we're so early.
No,
I mean,
no, 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 no.
in some ways, we're early.
Yeah, in buying the top we're early. No, but like Bitcoin's trading at 40K. Some of these altcoins are massive already. So what you need for basically massive price appreciation is basically a paradigm shift, right?
Yes.
Because how else are you going to go to 500K per Bitcoin if not like a massive, massive paradigm shift in the world? And I mean, so you kind of have to speculate on that. And I don't think we're quite ready for that, but maybe I'm just the guy that is just, I'm always negative. That's just how it is. So
There you go. He said it out loud. Finally, he's not hiding under the guise of rational analysis anymore. He just hates everything. I've got the S&P 500 chart up for the audience right now on the daily time frame, and just a couple of things. The Boomer 200 daily moving average is around 4470s thereabouts, 4480. And then at the moment on the daily time frame, it's been quite a clear downtrend of lower highs and lower lows, right? This daily candle, like right now, this looks like the first non-trivial effort at making a daily higher high, which would also take price towards or into the Boomer trend metric that everyone uses of the 200-day moving average. Could this kind of be the starting point of at least a bounce, if not a reversal? You've got a daily break in market structure, like basically lower low and then into a higher high, which tends to be a decent kind of, not reversal pattern per se, but like I guess price structure, right? And it looks better than it has been. And that's a very technical bit of analysis there. It doesn't look as bad as before, but from a TA point of view, if you will, there might be a higher high for the first one in some time. Close/brewing. Is this consequential at all for you? I know the daily time frame is your like scalping time frame, so maybe you don't give a shit. And the weekly still leaves a lot to be desired. But any decent signs of absorption or whatever in traditional markets, and again, I'm not the market we trade primarily, but just in terms of candlestick make boing, what do you think?
yeah, I mean, it's a nice first kind of sign that we at least, or like that the S&P at least is able to bounce from the lows.
Yeah, weekly engulfing kind of cooking as well, if you look at that.
Yeah, and I mean, the monthly is turning out much better as well than it looked earlier. But yeah, it's really, really tough trading, I think, the traditional markets right now, just based on what's going on in the world.
Yes.
But yeah, just technically, it's not looking too bad, I think. I mean, it would make sense to bet on a higher low, I think. Like if you're buying this high right now, I think there's a good chance that you're gonna lose out.
Wait, bet on a higher low or bet on a lower high?
No, bet on a higher low. So
Right.
as in, like, if this retraces, pray to God that the bottom stays in.
Oh,
and
fine.
actually
Yeah,
goes.
Do you think
higher.
there's a decent chance of a lower high on this
I
rally?
mean, it's basically it's already doing a higher high. Depending on how you look at it, the March candle or like the March kind of consolidation there.
Yes.
That's already getting overtaken. So
what about the weekly time frame? Does that matter in terms of market structure?
Yeah, I mean, the weekly just still looks pretty shit in my opinion.
But it's green.
But it's green. And it's
green and it's
massively
engulfing.
green.
Let's fucking go. Michael Saylor, T-Whopping, Do Kwon. Just start making up narratives. I probably butchered his name there. I'm sorry. I mean the founder of Luna.
Yeah, in general, if you look back in history, whenever you get like these big candles, that has seen some follow through, right? So it's not necessarily something to fade. It's
I saw something which was like, oh, this type of move always led to whatever type of good returns, unless it was a recession. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Can you just lie to me about that last part? I don't want to hear it. Yeah, okay. I think that's about as far as we can squeeze from traditional markets, given, the vast experience we have trading them. In terms of, before we get to slightly more stories, in terms of where that leaves BTC, you made an update video about, this diagonal, what kind of looked like a diagonal deviation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the breakdown, which got reclaimed. And then obviously the market rallied when the S&P rallied. And That's good. If I didn't know that rates decision had taken place and the S&Ps rallying, etc., I probably wouldn't even pay extra close attention to the chart at the moment because it's kind of done fuck all still, right? And honestly, the move wasn't even that like super impulsive. It was a bit of a weird one where you had like a tall wick and then it kind of just grinded back up. I'm talking on the Bitcoin 4 hour, right? You have this crazy wick up. I think that was around FOMC. And then as usual, the market kind of just trades back towards where it printed, and it's kind of slowed down since. I'm especially looking at the daily time frame. I mean, it looks okay at the moment, but from a market structure point of view, it's still leaving a fair, whatever is kind of what my gut feeling is. The only thing which seems fairly decent probability to me is that this whole 43, 44, whatever, the low to mid 40s level, right? That's been tested depending on how you count, like 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right? At least. It really feels like if there are some legs to this S&P move and BTC hits that same level of resistance for the 5th time, at the very least, that's not one that I'd be comfortable selling, or that wouldn't be my first kind of trade idea there. I think if there's anything that's going to act as a bit of an acceleration gate, if you will, it's traders betting on the same outcome at the same level for the 5th time. And, if a lot of them are wrong at the same time, that's more than enough fuel in a market like this for a decent push. And at that point, if you get this breakthrough, that low to mid 40s, it's fine to be bearish again, but you either do it higher or you do it when it comes back within the range and it's clear that the breakout has failed. But I think selling the level for a 5th time, could it work? Sure. It's just, I don't trade levels 5 times in a row from the same direction. But otherwise, it looks okay so far. Lower time frame, short time frame stuff. But it's still kind of in the middle of nowhere. Market structure still hasn't shifted. And I really think the first decent signals will be either closer to the lows or if we finally get some sort of upward momentum. And the setup for it isn't awful considering, no one says 5th test, best test for a reason.
Yeah, I agree, actually. If we go to 44 again and the S&P just doesn't go to complete shit, I don't see a reason why we wouldn't go to 52. Just based on the fact that, like you said, a bunch of people are going to short the level, and I think they're going to get run over. In general, it's kind of an interesting spot to be in, like this current consolidation, because, I mean, I don't know if you have the trend line that I drew on the chart.
Yeah, I can re-add it, yeah.
Yeah, it's
daily time frame, of course, yeah.
Exactly, daily time frame. Yes. It's like we're grinding into support, but it's holding. And we've tested resistance so many times that it's not worth trusting. So it's like the support is really shitty because we've been grinding into it so much that it's just hard to trust it. And it's the same is true for resistance.
Maybe you just have trust issues. There's nothing to do with the market. You seem to be projecting here.
Maybe. No, I think I think in general, like whenever the market is like this and you have like strong conviction, just play it. Play your conviction. If you don't have strong conviction, you're only going to lose money.
Your conviction is so strong, you've extended your holiday for a week, right? Like,
yeah. Basically that. Yeah, for me, it's just, this is not worth trading. If you look at it, we've basically not moved from 40K. No. Like if you remove all the little bits of upwards movements and like kind of add them up with the downwards movements below 40K and above 40K, it's basically a straight line. We've not really been trading anywhere else, right? So this consolidation has just been like, a very, very little price movement. It might look big because it's the daily time frame, but it's nothing major. And I think that can continue for basically a week more. I don't think it's going to take longer than that, but like a week or so, I could see it just continue going sideways at 40K. And then we'll see where it goes. Like either we lose the trend line and then start dumping, or we start testing 44K again. And I think then 51K or 52K makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, getting through that mid-range would be a welcome sign.
Yeah.
And actually be tradable for a change, I think it'd be one of those, like, you feel uncomfortable, but if the momentum's there, it's probably going to keep going. And if you're expecting it to pull back immediately, you're probably wrong. it would be one of those, like the 44K breakout. I think it's one of those, if it retests immediately, it's actually bearish, right? I was tweeting
Agreed,
about
yeah.
this, so that, you know, some bullish retest, and this is something we've disagreed on in the past, and I still do from time to time, depending on what the level looks like, etc. But especially when it's like a complete kind of run over based on pure momentum type of scenario, sometimes bullish retests are bearish because they shouldn't fucking be happening in the first place, you know?
Yeah, especially when you're kind of, I mean, it depends on what kind of setup you're playing, right? For example, like we were talking about like a squeeze setup from 44 to 52, right?
Yes.
And if you have like a squeeze setup, people need to be squeezed. And if they're not, as in if you trade above the level and then it starts like retesting or starts bleeding back into the level, then you're like, oh shit, like those people were basically at the mercy of the market and they're not getting squeezed. So maybe my thesis is just wrong.
Yes.
Because yeah, if I'm betting on a squeeze, it should be a painful kind of move upwards and not like super technical, retesting every level, blah blah blah. So
you need to see urgency in the chart and in the order books. That doesn't stick around. Doesn't mean consolidation for the most part. Cool. Onto the news kind of stuff. Hacker steals $790,000 of NFTs and crypto from owners of rare bears.
Wait, what? $790?
790,000. So
Oh,
790K of NFTs and crypto from owners of rare bears.
I was like, are we down so bad?
I know, it's so bad. That's all the money bears have left. But yeah, no, I mean, this is one of those attacks where you get access to the Discord, right? You get unauthorized access to the Discord, impersonate a mod, and he was like, oh, we're doing another mint, by the way, additional rare 1,000 NFTs added for 0.1 ETH. And, you know, interacting with the contract, obviously, hosted a malicious smart contract. When interacted with, gave them control over the victims' wallets, and they stole 179 NFTs and a bunch of ETH as well, and straight to good old Tornado Cash. So you see, I don't know what this says about crypto trend, but bears are losing money. Is that bullish?
I mean, honestly, with like all the scamming going on, it's kind of sad because I think that is actually driving a lot of retail away.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Like we're making fun of like the Bored Ape Yard Club kind of guys that.
Oh, we'll get to that. Yeah.
Get their shit stolen like all the time.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like it's bad for all of us, right?
Yes,
because you get scammed in crypto. You kind of maybe you lose it all because most people just go like Degen and just buy one thing and then like they get scammed for everything. But they're obviously going to tell their family or friends that this is bullshit, right?
Wouldn't you be too embarrassed?
It depends. I think
maybe
depends.
If we shame them enough, we can save the market. It's like, don't tell anyone about your experience. But yeah, no, I agree. Retail getting rinsed in general kind of sucks, and you know, is a sort of reset catalyst, if you will. Especially if it's, you know, if they go all in and gamble and get wrecked, the amount of sympathy you're going to have is significantly lower than if they're just holding a bunch of JPEGs and the server they're committed to gets malicious. You know, basically the more sophisticated the attack, and especially if it's not like purely voluntary, right? They didn't. The amount of sympathy you can have kind of increases with that. So if someone just degen longs on margin, that's one thing. But yeah, getting your shit is effectively stolen is another. But again, with the seed phrase stuff, it's like, is it stealing something if someone comes over and says, hello, I'm the wallet inspector, I need to check your wallet, and you're like, oh shit, you know, it's the wallet inspector. You give him your wallet and he disappears. Like, were you robbed? Is that theft? I'm not so sure. Yeah, but this sucks. This kind of stuff really sucks, and I hope the people, you know, I mean, they're not getting their stuff back, but so I'm not even going to.
They never. Like, that's the thing with crypto, right?
Yes.
You never get your shit back. Your shit is gone. It's just you just kind of have to deal with it. And the thing is, like, at least it happens to everyone, I guess, because I don't. Have you ever gotten scammed or like sent something to the wrong address? Actually,
I don't think so. No.
Jeez. I mean, I was about to say it happens to everyone because it's happened to me before that I sent like an ICO allocation back in 2017 to the wrong address.
Oh, yeah, no, I've done the wrong address stuff, but it was like completely just me copying the wrong thing as opposed to like something malicious or me being tricked.
Yeah.
I've had like technical fuck ups before, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, scammed. I have never gotten scammed in crypto either, and I attribute that to my like online gaming career before, where it's
Mhm.
like if you've ever played like, and I didn't play World of Warcraft, but like World of Warcraft or RuneScape or any of those kind of games, you're kind of familiar with people trying to scam you. You know, like you know
Online
that
dating.
yeah, you know that people are out there to scam you, and especially on the internet. And if you're kind of used to that, you're gonna be a little bit more cautious, I guess.
Yes.
And that's gonna save your hide in crypto. But some people seem to not have gone through that, and
They're going through it now.
yeah, everyone has to, I guess.
Yes. Well, that's, commiserations to our rare bear friends. Also, if you're enjoying Casual Friday so far, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're almost caught up to BTC Pump, so where our subscriber count is once again lower. So we need to fix that one of two ways. We'd rather our subscriber count go up as well, kind of alongside BTC rather than BTC nuking and us staying stagnant. So here we go. ApeCoin. Of course, we had to go here, right?
Yeah.
ApeCoin, tied to Bored Ape NFT ecosystem, debuts with planned community airdrop. And also, as soon as that news came out, it got, perps got listed absolutely everywhere. All the major exchanges, it's pretty liquid. I think I saw Sim tweet that ApeCoin volume on FTX had eclipsed Ethereum trading volumes, or one of those, like, those ridiculous kind of volume flippenings where you get like an altcoin or something new do more volume than the majors during some significant event or period of time, like the whole Dogecoin SNL type of stuff, similar vibes. So this is there's a lot of stuff going on here, right? So the whole critique of NFTs not being liquid, and a lot of these people having their net worths tied up, their net worth tied up in JPEGs. A lot of those now have been given some sort of opportunity to sell something, right? Or basically get some cash. And then it's also an opportunity for secondary market participants who want to quote unquote make a bet on NFTs and don't have, access to indices or don't want to buy the NFTs outrightly or just want something like very easy, which a lot of the time goes underrated. But like, for them now, if they want to make a bet on Bored Apes or Yuga Labs more broadly, or on the NFT sector, you can justify it any way you want. You've got like a very highly traded. I haven't looked at the exact tokenomics or whatever, but I don't really think it matters, right? Necessarily, it's like the biggest brand making the first like big NFT token. Yes, you're going to get immediate selling and maybe hedging on the perps with the people who had their net worth tied up in something they didn't want to touch. But after that, you now have this coin, which is representative of one of the most kind of culturally important, whether you like it or not, NFTs in the space. And whether you want to speculate on that specific NFT or the sector or even that part of crypto, it's going to set a precedent either way. I need to actually let me open this door. It's going to take 15 seconds. I'm sure you can riff on this without me for a sec. Go on.
Yeah, with regards to that, it's actually really interesting, I think, because people that have held apes have a chance to sell something, right? Which is really, really good. I don't know if they're going to do it because I've seen so many people on crypto Twitter or like on Twitter in general talk about how they have their entire net worth tied up in fucking JPEGs. And obviously, if you only have one ape, it's really hard to take profit on that if you never want to sell it, right? This is a little bit different, obviously. You can, and I hope some people will take profits. I'm not necessarily bearish on it at all. It's just you don't want to have your net worth in something speculative or like all of your net worth in something speculative like this. So really cool development and really cool to see how this is going to play out because it's something that we've not done before. And like you said, basically, I think it's going to change the landscape quite a bit.
Would you buy it?
If it goes deep enough, yeah. And it did drop quite a bit, and people were like dancing on the grave like way too early again.
Oh, for sure.
Because the price action of these kind of things, right? It's very, very obvious how they're gonna be trading, right?
I've got the 15-minute chart open right now. If
Nice.
you want to give us a masterclass on trading new listings.
Yeah, I mean, with the new listings, it's basically a bunch of people, like I said, that have been exposed to like Apes and have like 100% of the net worth. They're obviously going to be happy to sell. Some people just want to kind of like realize some of the profits. Um, and then, especially when you have like perps listing everywhere, it makes sense that people are just going to add one and one together and say, okay, we're going to have a bunch of people. Like the first ones to claim are basically the ones that really want to get out the door, right? The first ones to claim the airdrop. So we're going to see, like, it's going to list, and then we're going to see a bunch of people try to sell. So prices are obviously very likely to go down. So people shorted heavily, right? And this is what happened as far as I understand. And then prices go down. But people always kind of assume that that's like the death of it all because they see, okay, prices, this thing listed at like $20, and now it's down at like 8, 7, or 6. I don't quite know like how low it went. So it's down like 70% or whatever. So it's dead. But that's not how it works, right? One, there's not like not everyone has claimed their stuff yet, and two, you obviously have a bunch of people like realizing their profits. So once they're out, that sell pressure is gone, right? So it's all about absorbing that first, like the sell pressure that's going to come in after the airdrop, and then at some point it's going to balance itself out, and then it's going to decide, okay, is it going to just straight up dump or not? And so far, I mean, looking pretty good in my opinion. For what it is anyway, but it's really, really tough to trade this fundamentally because I mean we've just not seen it before.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just glad we have some sort of liquid, centrally listed with perps token, kind of bread and butter, what we're used to, representation of
Yeah.
NFTs. I think anything that in general adds liquidity, or even if it's not like the actual NFT itself you're trading, obviously, but I think it's a step in the right direction. And again, getting exposure, especially for if you're newer to the space, isn't terribly easy in terms of what NFT do I buy, how do I store it, so on and so forth. But most people at this point will know how to long something on margin, right? And I'm sure we'll eventually get spot markets and stuff as well. So I'm really keen to see what the price chart of this kind of thing looks like. My gut feeling is that you survive the whole listing bonanza, and then you kind of let it settle, and in general, it's a pretty positive thing. Like, you think about all the other airdrops based around sectors that were hot, my mind goes towards Uniswap, right? Now, yes,
Hmm.
completely different token and sector and governance, yada yada, but like the basic premise is the same, right? This is a big part of what's got the most eyeballs in crypto. At the time, it was like DeFi and DEX trading, etc. It gives you a token. The token gets listed and easily accessible on a lot of venues. If you survive the initial chop, then it's just a matter of people are going to want exposure to a sector. Is this the most sophisticated tool or accurate mirror of being long NFTs? Absolutely fucking not. But it doesn't have to be in order to do its job well. And also, just sentiment wise, as Loomdart was commenting, people dancing on the grave of this type of thing is a pretty, I'm not being just like the brainless contrarian, like people think is bad, therefore good. That's not kind of the level of reasoning I'm employing. But in general, it in terms of cultural impact, Bored Apes, huge deal, whether you like it or not. Yuga Labs now with acquiring Punks as well, like huge deal. It's all part of the same umbrella, if you will. And I think it's at the very least one to monitor, um, if not, if not anything else. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think actually there's a good chance that Ape is gonna trade differently than the rest of crypto for the beginning of it all,
yes,
anyway. Which is always something you want to look out for, right? When you like all of the coins that have been around longer and just been kind of chilling, they're all kind of trading in lockstep with Bitcoin, and therefore not as interesting. But if you find something that's not going to be, and you can kind of make sense of how it's trading, those are usually the places you want to go because those are the coins that are going to move big time and be there to the up or downside, right? So I think Ape is going to be pretty much like super volatile. Like I could see it go up 50%, go down 50%.
Not
I could see
advice
it.
as you're listening to this. We're just commenting on market structure. I haven't even looked at like FDV and tokenomics again. Well, it
Yeah,
might not
I
even
have.
fucking matter, but we're just commenting on market structure more broadly.
I have no idea what the token's about actually, but it's just this kind of stuff doesn't like it really doesn't matter for the beginning of it all anyway, because everyone's just trying to figure out the same thing. Like what is this? How does it trade? And yeah,
I can just see the viral TikToks being made now. Can you imagine if we were in full-blown meme coin season and this comes out? It's like, man. So again, also a product of this environment, but I agree. It's much easier, or you're more likely to find edge in this kind of new listing, asynchronous, high volume type of stuff, rather than trading the 50th coin with a 1 correlation to BTC, right?
Yeah. Because you can just trade Bitcoin at that point, right?
Yes.
Like if you're trading Litecoin because you like Litecoin, I mean, why are you wasting your time? Bitcoin's just
you're always dunking
trading.
on Litecoin. You did the same in your video.
It's just how I roll. You gotta dunk on Litecoin. At some point, maybe it comes back, and then I'll stop. But until then, it's gonna be
when
Litecoin.
Trader Main stops trying to long it in a bull market. That's when it will do well.
Yeah.
The amount of time I spent talking to him about that trade, and I struggled to call it a trade. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, what's wrong with you? This is more traditional market stuff, but in a very cathartic sense. So I don't know if you saw GameStop to launch NFT platform by end of Q2. And then my other favorite one, AMC. Did you see AMC bought like a gold and silver mine?
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah.
I mean, oh man, this is legit crypto 2017 all over again, right? It's actually insane.
Yes.
And if you look at some of the comments, just even on fairly neutral headlines about GME, AMC, if you scroll through the Reddit, this is literally 2017, 2018 like mentality. It's like, oh, we're being suppressed, and then devs do something, or like, I don't understand why price isn't going up, like all of this type of shit. It's so fucking nostalgic. Except now it's happening in the real world and with the biggest retail, but not just it's one thing if you're like standard retail punter gambling in crypto, whatever, but this is like mainstream stuff. And they're just a bit late to the backholder party, it feels like. But it's interesting, I was just scrolling through comments and tweet replies and whatever. Like the language is effectively the same, It's like we're being suppressed, the devs do something, all this type of stuff. It just really brought me back. And these headlines as well, it's clear that there's no, at least in my opinion, whatever the core business was, it doesn't matter, right? And it is no longer relevant to the future. Now it's basically about appeasing a bunch of bag holders, right? With flashy actions, which give a credible sense of, oh, this company is like pivoted, or it's not dead, and it's deploying all of its treasury, and so on and so forth. And of course, AMC did that, and they bought the gold and silver miner at the local metals top, right? Because of course it did. And then the GameStop NFT, whatever type of stuff, it's the same thing of you basically find a trend that's hot, like blockchain iced tea, right? Remember that one? And you cash in on it or try to just bash two things together and hoping some sparks fly as a result. But this is like, I don't know, in my gut, I'm like, this is so fucking bearish. Like, these companies need to fuck off, like what is going on here?
I mean, I absolutely hate it. It's one thing, like you said, if it's in crypto, because I mean, it's just degen land, but in the traditional markets, it's a little bit more scary because so many people just take it more serious, I guess, and they have no problem like punting their retirement money on dumb shit like this. And seeing how much money some of these idiots have lost on this is just mind-boggling to me. Like retail has taken a massive L on this, even though like GME is still up from $4 all the way to 88, right? But the same with Dogecoin, really. Like the top is bought by retail. Everything else is just like a little bit, like a handful of people get rich, like retail people get rich, and then the rest buy the top. And I mean, it's terrifying to see, not gonna lie. Like it's one-to-one, like you said, it's the ICO tactic. It's the kind of like trying to grab the attention stuff because you don't have anything meaningful going for you. Allegedly, anyway. I don't
Yeah, in
want
Minecraft.
to. I don't
The
want to get
linear
sued.
chart of AMC is really something to behold.
Yeah, I mean GME as well. Like
Yeah. I mean, it's
it's
into
just
dead
so
cat
bad.
territory, right? Please fully retrace the pump. There's got to be some sort of rectangle you can draw on that. But yeah, depressing for sure. And very. This is the thing is we meme about this, but this is kind of the one of the advantages of still being in crypto. You see this stuff so early, and you get so much market cycle experience. Be it
Yeah,
full crypto sector to for like cycle to cycle, but then you've also got like crypto sector, like specific sectors cycle to cycle, like DeFi, right? The rest of the market was still doing okay, but then DeFi went from like the only thing you could trade to fucking zero and underperforming against everything, while the market itself was still in like a decent state. So you kind of that was a bit clumsy. My point is in crypto you get to enjoy higher frequency like macro cycles of the crypto sector, and you also get higher frequency kind of micro cycles of specific sectors like DeFi, GameFi, Metaverse. Yeah, there's just so much experience to derive from this, from crypto, for better or for worse. But it was just very, as I said, the nostalgia came creeping in when you listen to how these people talk about their investments. Like fucking hell, mate, you've got a long road ahead of you.
yeah. I mean $80 to basically 4 again. I mean that's a good decrease, I think. Maybe I'll eat my words, but there's no world in which this all like AMC and GME just don't full retrace.
Right. I mean, they've
But
done a decent job so far, right?
yeah, it's. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and I hope for the retail people that have bought it to
But
be
they won't
wrong.
learn
But
otherwise.
they will not, and I mean, even if it goes back up again, they're not gonna sell. It's just how it
Sure,
is.
yeah. But the market's in this weird spot, especially like with some crypto names. And this argument tends to be the biggest cope ever, and I don't like it at all. But it's structurally true. That a lot of this stuff, like altcoins right now, especially like DeFi, right? It could double and still be down like 70-80% on the year or whatever. Like it's a bit of a landfill at the moment.
Yeah, especially in the DeFi space. Jesus,
And why would
like
you want
when
to
you
trade that anyway? Like, yeah, I guess counter trend bounces and stuff. But I've got like, the Aave weekly chart open at the moment, and it's just like, what do
it's
you want?
rough.
What do you want from this thing? And it looks like it's already gone through a full market cycle. Ever, obviously it has, but it had done so beforehand when it was lend, right?
Yeah,
And this is just
yeah,
like the second leg of. I mean, it's just absolute insanity. I think one video you and I should record, and let us know in the comments if it's one you want to see. It's future, like notes to future bull market traders or something like that, right? So basically stuff while we're kind of rational and semi-coherent at the moment, it's kind of stuff that we should have taken more seriously or want to have on our the forefront of our minds when the market becomes really really hot again. But one of the things that would make that list is buy the strong thing, not the thing which is trying to emulate the strong thing or like the next strong thing, right? That seems to be reliably the case in crypto. People playing catch up, ironically, never catch up, right?
yeah.
The strong thing just keeps going. So I think a video like that would be fun, and we just sit down for like, similar 20-30 minutes. I've got a lot of notes on this already from like Twitter threads and just in my own Discord server. That's not any kind of paid shill thing. I just have a server just for me where I post all sorts of random shit. But I think that'd be a fun video to make where, while the market's a bit quiet, we prepare people for the froth and some ways to navigate that. Because it's going to come back almost certainly, right? It's a very high probability that crypto isn't over and you're going to have another hype cycle. What sectors do the best and what the rest of the market looks like and decoupling and all this type of stuff. And no one knows. And I doubt anyone can accurately forecast what the best performing sector is going to be either. Maybe it's not even a coin, right? As we saw with a lot of the NFT stuff. But in any case, I think it'd be a nice idea to put a few
I
of
agree.
those things together. And that's kind of, the reason I brought it up, looking at this kind of Aave thing, is like, yes, you can look for the bottom on stuff like this, or you could just wait for something hot to pop up, or for the market in general to look healthier and let the quote unquote smart money, not that there is really such a thing, but let the market show you what's strong as opposed to trying to force the issue of something that's been downtrending for like 2 years now,
I mean, the easiest example, and I mean, I'm just gonna do it again, is just look at Litecoin.
Oh, here we go. What you want the
Is
BTC pair? Should I fully role play this?
Yeah, do the Litecoin BTC pair, and then just look at it and tell me why the fuck, like, why anyone would ever buy any
Yeah,
legates
yeah.
in this space, because I mean, you can barely see the price movements anymore because it's down so low.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is like the laggard play if you do it, and you can kind of, if you like squint really hard, maybe you can actually see the altcoin bull market that we've had. But I'm not entirely sure if you can.
I haven't got my glasses, my glasses on, so it's a bit difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just cursed. It's really cursed. If anything, you have to lean into the cynicism of crypto that nothing's kind of worth anything, arguably, except Bitcoin and ETH, and then see whatever's hot and pile onto that.
I honestly think, in general, that's like a strategy that's going to do you well no matter what.
Yes.
Is you don't marry anything. Stuff is good in crypto for like a year and then it starts fading off, and it's just how it is. You don't need to waste your time kind of trying to be in a community for any of these coins, in my opinion, because I can almost guarantee you that there's going to be another Bitcoin bull market. I'm like 99.9% sure that there's going to be one. And I'm sure there's going to be an altcoin bull market again, but I'm not sure if any of the altcoins that you hold are going to actually go up in that altcoin bull market.
For sure.
And that's the thing, right? Because you can have sectors go up, you can have sectors go down, but your coin doesn't have to go with it. And that is something that the Litecoin holders have kind of experienced in the last couple of months. That, I mean, the market can be bullish and you can just be left out and back hold. And that is something that is very, very important to understand. Like if you kind of hold on for too long or to the wrong bags, you're just not going to have any fun while everyone else has. And it especially, like something that's especially true is that buying in the bear market, like buying altcoins, and this is something that I see people say all the time. This is actually something that grinds my gears really much, is that you should be like accumulating during a bear market or whatever. And then they're talking about altcoins. I'm like, it's like one of the worst times to buy altcoins because that is actually where they die. Like that's legitimately where a shitload of altcoins go and just die. What you should be doing instead is wait for the bear market to be over, and then you get like a 2x or 3x pump on the good ones, on the good altcoins. And then you can kind of see, okay, I like this fundamentally, and there's actually still buying happening. And then you can buy it, and it goes up another 10x. And maybe you're mad that you didn't get the peak or bottom, but at least you didn't buy something like Litecoin, which is just going to let you not make any gains while everyone else is happy. So, it's one advice that I see all the time: buy, like accumulate during the bear market. And I think it's stupid advice. Just buy when the market turns around. It's much better.
There you go. I agree with that entirely. And just the basic proof of that, we know people who have been basically bag holding their Bittrex altcoins and have missed out on like certainly the last 2 years of the market, but in general have missed out all of the upside, right? And that's it's much easier to do than you think. To be allocated in garbage, you don't have any free capital. Mentally, you give yourself the impression that you're allocated, and or that if altcoins do well, that couldn't not include your coins, right? And then you end up in a position where you're stuck in illiquid garbage. The entire crypto sector does well, except your stuff, because it's neither new and nor was it kind of really part of this crypto sector. It was kind of a fossil, a relic. That's a terrible position to be stuck in. And that's why, at least on the very base level, I certainly sympathize with the kind of crypto as a monetary basket maximalism argument of BTC plus ETH. Because in general, if you have a long crypto on a multi-cycle thesis kind of approach, or multi-cycle basis type of approach, almost all of those scenarios have Bitcoin and ETH setting new all-time highs. Adding a third one to that list at the moment is really fucking tricky. The probability of fall off from those two is absolutely massive. Or after those two, I should say.
I think in general, if you want to think about it in an easy way, just think about Bitcoin being the S&P of crypto. You invest in Bitcoin if you think crypto is going to stick around, and you're going to do well if crypto sticks around. Like no matter what happens, you're going to be fine. With ETH, probably too. Not entirely sure, but pretty sure. And with all the rest, it's basically you picking stocks, right? Which is fine, but most of the people have been doing much, much better just betting on the S&P as a whole.
Yes.
And that's just basically Bitcoin, right? Like if you bet on Tesla before it went up, that's much better than betting on the S&P as a whole. But it's obviously much, much more risky as well. So if you want to have it really like kind of brainless play, it's just Bitcoin as like kind of as a way to bet on crypto. I think is a pretty good way to look at it. And
Perfect.
then, yeah.
I agree with that entirely. And that's kind of, to harken back to the strategy that I outlined, what I'm personally doing is the stuff I buy when I think the market's down that's getting cheap / value in general isn't altcoins, it's Bitcoin and ETH. And then I wait for everything to rip faces as 2 to 3x, right, in the altcoin space. And then you find the stuff that's going to lead, keep going, or whatever the hedge fund darling trade is, whatever, that whole stuff. And there's a lot to be, Sam was talking about buying Solana at 5, right? It went to like 300 or something ridiculous. There's plenty of space, even if you're late in the crypto space. Just not too late of buying the top, that is. Cool. I think we've covered a lot there. I had the Luna chart open because, just because there's a lot of bets going on about the future of Luna, and there's all sorts of game theory threads about why are people making these bets? Is it purely directional? How can they hedge it? And so on and so forth. I'm guessing you're not on the kind of chain link 2.0 act where the whole market looks shit and you've just got this one altcoin that completely rips faces. The game theory around USD is pretty interesting, and just I did have some time to read about how it's supposed to work and why it's unlike other quote unquote algorithmic stablecoins, why it's done well. But I'm guessing you're not in the camp of this is gonna, if the market stays shit, this is going to be the chain link example that decouples, shows relative strength, and so forth. I've got the daily chart. It kind of just spiked its previous all-time high, and it's kind of chilling. And it's, pretty much, it listed, it went to 0, and then it went to infinity. That's kind of the weekly chart as well on Luna USD. And now it's a bit kind of churny at the previous high. You and I mentioned that neither of us like kind of founders. You got to love confident founders and stuff, right? Because the people who are passionate, who want to build, etc. That's one thing. But when you have like cults of personality built around one specific founder, that tends to be a pretty like not good thing for the space in general, as we saw with Winter Wonderland and all, Andre arguably / to a lesser extent, and so on and so forth. Any off the cuff Luna predictions or gut feelings?
Yeah, I mean, I think if the market stays shit for coins, Luna is not going to be an exception. I'd be surprised. And I wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't up so much, right? Which might sound weird, but Luna is actually approaching the very, very high market cap kind of list where you just kind of don't advance as quickly anymore. Like whenever you look at CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko or whatever, you can kind of see that once stuff gets into the top 10, it just starts slowing down. So I think if you're betting on, okay, Luna is going to be like the bear market darling, it's just going to keep on going up. I think that's quite the late trade to make because, like I said, the market cap is quite high for an altcoin already. And yeah, so with regards to the bets, I think there's a good chance that it's going to end up below what was the bet, $90 or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Below $90 in a year. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't below $90 in a year. So
let's just get to the shortest market cycle ever, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone up a lot. It's at a place where it's already very, very big. Maybe it goes sideways around $90 for a year.
That'd be possible. Eh?
But yeah, that'd be stressful for the people involved in the bet, I bet. But yeah, I'm not in the camp of, okay, Luna's going to decouple and do its thing because, yeah, I just think that's...
It's just in general, it's a tricky bet to make, right? Like if you look at all the history of altcoins ever, including recent ones, right? Because I know, do you remember at the end, at the Bitcoin top, unsurprisingly, at the market top, the amount of fucking recency bias there was, saying, oh, well, it's not the same market, we get sectoral decoupling, look at Sol Luna AVAX returns versus BTC, BTC doesn't matter, oh, look, they're bouncing harder than BTC, so it shouldn't be seen as a premier asset, like, fuck me, you know, like, we just get bombed, like, we can't go through a bear market because of all this private capital, yada, yada. I remember just literally feeling bombarded with this type of stuff, right? Which is all nonsense, right? As we found out, or at the very least, those claims didn't stand up to maybe the extent that those people wish they would have. So in general, even if you grant the recency bias and so on, you just kind of fucking look at a Solana chart, right? As one example.
Yeah.
You look at DeFi as another, and the basic idea that if you're taking on that bet or some version of that bet, or even are incorporating that bet into your portfolio, you essentially have to defend the claim that my altcoin will not go through a kind of meaningful market cycle, or at least the second part of a meaningful market cycle. You've had the markup, and then like that's it. You just get consolidation. I don't know. Can that happen? Certainly. But in general, you've got to be aware that the weight of the evidence isn't on your side. And I'm almost certain that whenever the next altcoin narrative emerges, the best performers there, by virtue of being new, will outperform the shit out of all the hot slash strong stuff at the moment, you know? So it almost won't even matter.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think, if you're looking at AVAX, Solana, Luna, all of that kind of stuff as the next frontier again, I think that's that's overplayed. It just doesn't make much sense. Because, like, honestly, as stupid as it sounds, just look at the market caps, like on CoinGecko, and just sell the stuff that comes from like out of nowhere and goes into the top 10, and then look for something new that is again like outperforming the rest of the market and ride it to the top 10 again. And then every time something arrives in the top 10, it just goes to die there. Basically, it's just how
graveyard.
It is. Yeah. And
every cycle we hear about the infamous coin market cap reshuffle, right? Or the CoinGecko reshuffle. And it happens for like a very short period of time, but usually it's just like fucking Doge gets into the top 10 and everything dies, understandably. Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty good kind of market indicator of just speed of ascent to whatever market cap metric. That could be quite good. I think we've done well, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. In that case, I'm gonna slam 2 scoops of pre-workout and go do some pick stuff up to make sad voice and head go away. You know, standard.
And I'm gonna try to not die from hangover, basically.
Oh well, yeah. You see, we're very much in common. That's why we spend all this time together. The Duck and I.
Yep.
In the metaverse, of course. That's all from us, though. Thank you for listening to Casual Friday. As always, leave us a comment as to what you thought. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Do you want us to do this kind of bull market future readiness educational video? Let us know in the comment section. As always, thank you to FTX for sponsoring Technical Roundup. Get the best mobile trading app on the market today. Links in the description. Subscribe, like, do YouTube stuff, and I will see you on Monday markets on Monday for Monday markets. Duck, take care. Everyone also. Bye-bye.